Just give us your view on the latest development here and how these two parties come together if the U.S. continues to blockade and Iran says we will not talk unless this blockade is lifted.
Well, first, let me take that point. First of all, the Iranian position is outrageous. They blocked the straits for everybody else. Trump gave them weeks where they could continue to ship their oil out. Nobody else could while they tried to get a solution. He entered a ceasefire. And then finally, when the first negotiating round didn't work, he imposed the blockade. The blockade is forcing the Iranians to rethink. Two ways to look at what Trump has just done. One is less likely. He's afraid that new military operations would lead to a massive Iranian retaliation on the Gulf states and Israel. That doesn't seem to be a major military concern, but I put it out there. The other possibility is that he's heard from the Pakistanis that the divisions within Iran which is seemingly the main reason why we didn't have the negotiations tomorrow, is driven by a demand that the United States take the threat, at least of war, at least off the table. So Trump has done that. He's made a concession. It's not a big one. And we'll see what happens with the Iranians. If they do not come back with a significant offer that we can work with, then I think Trump will revisit the returning to military operations card.
Is there some realistic resolution here, Mr. Ambassador? I mean, we talked with Terry Haynes of Pangea Policy, and he said what the Iranians want is they want to have uranium for civilian purposes. They also want to, I think, maintain their regime. Do you agree? And is there a solution to be had if that's what the Iranians indeed want?
Okay. First mistake, this is not a war that we began. This is another campaign in a war that the most active phase, it's gone back decades, it started with the Hamas, an Iranian proxy attack on Israel, joined soon after by other Iranian proxies, and then Iran itself in 2 missile barrages in 2024. So this is another campaign. Iran wants its enrichment program not so it can have scientific pride in itself, but it wants it as a tool for either a nuclear weapon or to leverage not having a nuclear weapon for gradual control of the region. This has been the goal of that regime since 1979, and it's hard why people don't get that. Will they accept, over a period of time, ratcheting back the nuclear program to something that looks like a civilian program? Yes, and that's what Trump is planning on. Buying 12 or 15 years wouldn't be a bad idea. 20 would be even better, but the Iranians have said they don't want that. So you will get another success. The difference between now and when Obama did the deal was that Iran and its proxies have been much, much weakened in the region. They're not in as good a shape, and that's another plus.
So, Ambassador, how does this war end, and what's a realistic timeline for us to think about?
It will end, like all wars, with negotiations. It will end with compromise on both the American and the Iranian side that will result in some period of time. Trump will be very, very insistent. It's better than the Obama 2015 deal of Iran not moving closer to a nuclear, for fissile material for a nuclear weapon.
Will it be better?
That is how, what?
Will it be a better deal? Is it possible for it to be a better deal?
Of course, the Iranians supposedly agreed, at least for 5 years, to stop enrichment. They never agreed to that in the Obama JCPOA. So they're already on the table of stopping, at least temporarily, enrichment. So yeah, it could well be a better deal. Whether it will be, that's another question. But again, that and the lifting of the dual embargoes on the Straits are the main elements of any deal. The deal will come. The question is when. Time is working against Trump in terms of the elections and, of course, as you've been reporting, the economic costs for many of our partners and allies. But it's also not working in the case of Iran either because of the total embargo that we've imposed on all ships going in or out.
Mr. Ambassador, last question. Have we, though, created a bigger enemy in Iran for the United States, or no? You actually maybe believe that there's a new way forward in this relationship?
No, it'll be the same old relationship, which is we have a regime that until we overthrow it, or some of the people overthrow it, will want to dominate the region. They choose various tools to do it with. Sometimes they do it with sugar. rather than with steel. But that is their goal. It isn't that, boy, we got rid of the moderate, reasonable leaders when we started the war, and now we're dealing with the hardliners. They're all hardliners. They take different approaches. No, we're not going to deal with a more dangerous Iran. We're going to deal with an Iran that we're just going to have to still deal with.